Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
I'm Derek Wilmaster.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and we find out that if it bleeds, you can kill it. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Feeling a lot better. Been sick all week.
Yeah.
Feeling much better today.
That's not good. Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
How about you, Derek?
I hung some Christmas lights today and ran out of hooks, so the house looks funny. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Nice. I built a fence today. I ran a bunch of errands and watched football and The Predator. So, good times for me. Good times. So, guys, last week we were in space dealing with an alien. And then this week we are in the jungle dealing with an alien. So I'm sensing a pattern here. Maybe next week we will be underwater dealing with an alien. I mean, that's the next case, I guess. We've done land, we've done air. It's time for sea. So we're doing the great beast of 40,000 phantoms or something.
Now you've got my mind going. I'm like, well, what movies is set underwater that is dealing with an alien?
Right.
The Abyss.
But it's not a horror movie.
I've never seen The Abyss.
But it is a movie that deals with underwater.
Yeah, that actually came to my mind. I was like, yeah, but that's definitely not a horror movie. It's a good movie.
It's a good one. You've never seen The Abyss, Lydia?
No. I feel ashamed right now.
It's a good one. James Cameron.
What? Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
Jim Cameron before he decided to make 750 Avatar movies.
Now, wait a second. Did you know that the methodology that they used in that movie is actually a real thing? Did you know this?
Yes.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I have it, and I've watched the special features.
Okay, well, I guess then you might know it if I guess in that scenario. I watched it on a science channel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good thing I'm in a basement because I just raised my voice.
It's all right. So, guys, before we start talking about Arnold's tree trunk-like arms, let's first get into the horror news. And we have a lot of horror news, actually. Some really big stuff, some little stuff, but all fun stuff. So let's start with this. This is some really big news, actually. One of our heroes, of course, James Wan, and Jason Blum of Blumhouse are in talks to merge their companies into one mega horror powerhouse.
What?
Wait a second. So are you telling me that we actually might get a post-apocalyptic world with what's his face?
Malignant
Gabriel, and then Jason? No, he does not. He's not part of that. I can't think of any actual characters that are part of Blumhouse, but
Michael Myers.
There you go.
There you go. Yep.
But now he's dead.
For now.
So
spoilers.
Oh yeah.
He dies at the end of every movie. It's fine. So it says here that James Wan and Jason Blum are in advanced talks to merge Atomic Monster and Blumhouse Productions to form what Variety is describing a mega house of chills and thrills over at Universal Pictures. Ooh. Blumhouse is currently under a first look deal with Universal, which would extend the Atomic Monster as long as the deal closes. What do you guys think of this?
Yeah.
In an age that is, it seems like everything's kind of getting siloed, right? Like, Disney's a really good example of this. Their stuff used to be everywhere, and now they're kind of clawing it back into like a one channel or one place to get that. I think it's an interesting idea, and just imagine the possibilities.
yeah, I'm excited to see those two creators combine. You
It's a
know,
lot of properties.
it is a lot of properties, and it's a very smart horror people. Some good creatives. That sounds interesting to me. I'm excited for that. This little bit of news, I don't know if you guys will appreciate this as much as I do, but let's talk about it. Netflix is bringing back Gamera with Gamera Rebirth.
I have no
What?
idea what it is.
You know who Gamera is, right, Lydia?
Yes.
The giant turtle.
Turtle. Yep.
He's a giant fire-breathing prehistoric turtle monster.
Is he like a Godzilla movie? I don't understand this.
Kind of.
It
I mean,
is,
it's a
yeah.
kaiju. It's a kaiju. So
Yeah.
like Godzilla, but he's a turtle. And they had a run of movies from like starting in the 60s, like 65, I think.
Classics.
Yeah. But yeah, Netflix is bringing back a Gamera project, which will be pretty cool. Let's see if they can do what they did with Godzilla, because the King of the Monsters is as popular as he's ever been. Godzilla's as popular as he's ever been, and he's making some of the best movies that they've ever made. So
For sure.
And they're, Godzilla and Kong 2 is on the way. So what do you guys think of Gamera? I know you don't know anything about it, Derek, but what do you think, Lydia?
I hope they don't go like full Godzilla with it, because I feel like Gamera has always been like the kind of cheesier, I hope they keep it like good, but like still cheesier than like the new Godzillas, Like, I think that would be interesting to see, like, not fully as good.
Not fully as good.
I do have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is he a snapping turtle?
He's a big, giant,
He's just a big
fire-breathing turtle.
Yeah. No questions.
They have some concept art for it. You want to see the concept art?
Yes.
Here, let me share it.
Always. I always want to see concept art.
All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely a direct ripoff of looks like Godzilla
on Netflix. Okay. All right.
Looks pretty good, though.
I mean, yeah, it looks good.
Pretty legit.
Good. I can't help but just laugh, because
some of those Gamera movies are terrible and cheesy. Yes. Some of them are really good, but some of them are definitely cheesy. But so are some of the Godzillas,
Yeah.
Especially when you get into the late Showa era and all that stuff. But hey,
the cheesier, the better.
Yeah, it's Godzilla. It's still the concept of a giant fucking, badass lizard creature, just wrecking shit.
So am I full of it, or was there ever any serious talks to merge like Pacific Rim and the Godzilla franchise?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like I heard that.
It may be, but I don't think so. Godzilla was put on ice for, I think the last one was 2004 until Legendary made their Godzilla movie in 2014. It was like almost 10 years without a Godzilla movie, because they needed a break. And then they knew they wanted to do a big budget American version, and that's the one that we got.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they made the even better King of the Monsters, which is rad. I love King of the Monsters. That movie rocks. And Godzilla Kong rules too. All right, guys, let's move on to our best buddy, Nicolas Cage, because Nicholas Hoult teases Nicolas Cage's original take on Dracula.
It's about time.
He doesn't give us a lot, but he says it's original. It's steeped in a lot of history, Dracula history and folklore. Holt continues, so it's exciting, even though it's a very bizarre, elevated tone for an action comedy. I'm excited for it. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do. The film is said to be a modern-day adventure story that is comedic in tone. The film centers on Renfield, Holt, who has grown sick and tired of his centuries as Dracula's lackey. The henchman finds a new lease on life and maybe even redemption when he falls for a feisty, perennially angry traffic cop, Rebecca Quincy, played by Aquafina. That's the
Water?
most. That's the no, not water.
The comedian.
That is the most. I feel like synopsis we've had for this movie in a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I feel like
agree.
we've gone back and forth because we've been like, this movie is serious, this movie is funny, this movie is serious, is it funny? And now I feel like it's definitely gonna
It's
be
definitely funny. Yeah. Which makes sense. I don't know if you. I mean, maybe in 1995 you could have done a serious Nicolas Cage Dracula movie, but in 2022, 2023, it has to lean comedically.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to tell you guys.
It has to be, yeah. This is some cool news. So they're making a prequel to A Quiet Place Day One, and they have added Stranger Things as Joseph Quinn to the cast. As you guys know, Joseph Quinn plays Eddie. And he will be in the new Quiet Place movie.
Quiet thing.
A quiet thing. It does not do things. It's just quiet. It doesn't give us much. It says Pig director Michael Sarnowski is directing it now, but the details have been kept under wraps. But it does take place in the same world as the first two movies. Doesn't involve the same characters. But it's being day one. It takes place right after the attack of the creatures. So, what do you guys think of that?
All right. I still have not seen the second one. I really need to get on that. I need to
I have
watch
not
that.
either. I
haven't seen either one of them.
The first one's great.
Yeah, the first one was really good.
It's a legit.
It gave me so much anxiety. I feel like that's why I haven't chose to watch the second one, because I'm not always up for like just
anxiety-inducing
complete anxiety. Yes.
This news is like, I don't know what to take of this, guys. I don't know what to think of this, but I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
You guys tell me how you feel about it. So, Escape from New York sequel starring Kurt Russell is coming from the directors of Scream, the new Scream movies. Radio Silence. They have been able to confirm that Radio Silence is in early talks about directing an Escape from New York project, but Kurt Russell has not been confirmed yet. But the rumor has emerged that he will be reprising his role of Snake Plissken. So what do you guys think? It's been confirmed now that Radio Silence are going to direct the movie. And John Carpenter is on board as an executive producer. Would you guys be down for another adventure with Snake Plissken? I mean, the answer is obviously yes.
We've
Snake
talked about
Plissken.
this. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, I mean, my only hesitation is like, how old is Kurt?
In his like late 60s, early 70s.
I mean, that's really my only hesitation.
Why?
Because
Indiana Jones is coming out and he's going to be literally 80.
I agree. I just want it to be believable. Like, you know, he's supposed to be somebody who, you know, kicks some ass, and
He's Old Man Snake, man. He can do the same shit.
Let's wait for the trailer. Get my reaction after the trailer.
Age doesn't bother me. If it's Kurt Russell playing Snake Plissken, I'm down. If it is not Kurt Russell playing Snake Plissken, then the movie's going in the dump bin for me. Because just like only Harrison Ford can play Indiana Jones, only Kurt Russell can play Snake Plissken. I mean, that's just the way it is. Unless they set it in the same universe with a different character, but that would be stupid. I don't know, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I would be interested to see another go around with Snake. I would rather it be directed by John Carpenter, of course, but if he's on executive producer, we'll see how it goes. And then finally, we have, this is not really so much news as it is a concept poster somebody made for the new Crystal Lake show. Do you guys want to see this concept poster?
Yes.
Let me see what you guys think of this, because if they do a concept poster that's even a fraction as good as this, then we'll be in good company. You guys ready?
Yep.
Nice.
Oh man, can you zoom in on that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, that looks great.
Pretty cool, right?
That looks great. No, you are 100% right. If they don't go that route, they will be foolish and stupid.
Yeah,
that looks awesome.
It's very much reminiscent of one of the best teaser posters of all time from the Phantom Menace. You guys remember the one where it has where it has Anakin in his shadow as Darth Vader?
Yeah.
I remember when that came out and I was like, oh my God.
I just watched that.
Oh, Phantom Menace?
Yep.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
I watched all the Star Wars movies this week.
Oh, since you were
Every single one.
homesick? So you're just homesick? You just ripped through them all?
And Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
Mandalorian's great. Boba Fett's pretty good.
I'm trying to get ready for
really
Andor.
Good. Yeah.
I haven't watched Andor yet, so I'm getting there.
Yeah. The Obi-Wan series was great. I thought I had a good time with that.
Yeah.
And with that, we wrap up the horror news. Are you guys excited still? I like put it out of my mind, and then it pops back up that we're going to get a Jason TV series, and I just get overly excited again, like of just the possibilities of what that could bring.
It's crazy, right? I'm kind of picturing. Wasn't there just a show? What am I thinking of?
Well,
there was just like a camp.
Oh, yeah.
What am I thinking of?
They did. Well, there was the Fear Street.
Fear Street.
Remember they did
camp,
the.
Was it?
Well, they did one. The 1978 Fear Street.
Okay, so maybe that is what I'm thinking.
Remember where they were set? It was set at the campground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that was such a good.
That was great.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that trilogy eventually. But we don't have time to talk about that one yet, because tonight we're going off onto the far-reaching jungles, and we're meeting up with a crack team of commandos because they're going to take on the Predator and John McTiernan's 1987 sci-fi action horror flick. I mean, literally, guys, the Predator is broken. It's three different movies.
Yeah,
it's an action movie, it's a horror movie, and then it's like a survival movie. Like
yes.
boom. And it has very distinct act breaks for each one. So let's start with you, Lydia. What's your experience with Predator?
So my experience with Predator is that it's always been my mom's favorite movie. Like, she has always been completely obsessed with Predator. Unlike any other movie, really. It's like Predator and Godzilla is like the only thing my mom wants to talk about.
That's right. Your
awesome.
mom would love my Godzilla rants I go on.
Yes, she would. So I guess we can segue maybe into an interview with my mom that I did when I was really sick. Just to set this up, I wrote down some questions to ask her because I wanted her to be a part of this episode, because she's always kind of been, it's a sentimental movie to me because of her. So I don't know how to segue that. So,
and here it is.
Yeah, here's my mom's interview. Mom, Predator came out in 1987. What was your first experience watching this movie?
I didn't know the movie had come out. I've never heard of it. And I was home alone one night and just saw Arnold Schwarzenegger on the TV. So I was like, okay, I'll watch this. Scared the crap out of me for weeks and weeks. And I was like terrified of that monster. And watched it like a few weeks later and totally fell in love with that monster. He is my hero.
What did you think of the camouflage?
Absolutely loved it. It took a lot of cameras to make that scene or scenes, because they tried to use the infrared, cameras, and that didn't work because it was so hot in that jungle that they couldn't tell the person from the jungle. So they used many cameras to make that actually look like people.
That's really cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite one-liner from the movie?
We're all gonna die. But that's not the only one. There's so many. I could go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my favorite. So.
Do you have a favorite kill?
That's hard. That's really hard. And I have to say that that's a toss-up, because I love it when Sonny Landrum or Billy, they don't actually show him getting killed. But I have to say that's probably my favorite kill. He's on the fallen tree, standing there, stripes the whole blood thing, waiting for the warrior to come. He himself is a warrior. And he just warrior to warrior. That's it. And he knows he's going to die. That's my favorite kill.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Okay, so what did you think when you finally got to see the Predator's face?
Freaked me out. I am like, this is the most awesome monster ever, except for Godzilla. The Predator is like my monster hero. He is my, I don't know, he's just so awesome. I can't even explain it. He is like number one in my book. I love the Predator.
He's so realistic to me.
I know. Alien, but Predator at the same time. He's no different than a bear, as far as Earth. Predator. But then again, he's also an alien. So what the heck? I mean, he's so multiverse.
Do you think this movie holds up today?
Absolutely. I still watch it when it comes on TV, and yet I own all the DVDs, so.
What would you rate this movie?
10.
10 out of 10.
10.
Do you know who Tom Adkins is?
I do not.
So, is there anyone... We normally cast someone. We usually cast Tom Adkins to play in the movies that we review. So is there anyone that you would replace in this movie? Maybe any actors that you think are a weak point that would be recast?
In this movie, no, I think they got it right. I really think each actor was perfect in their roles. And Carl Weathers loved playing in this movie. He loved it. He was perfect for it. The rest of them were perfect. I mean, it was like, I don't know. I don't know that I would cast anybody else.
Are you excited to see Prey?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
I can't wait for you
I'll
to see
own
it. Did you like any of the Predator sequels?
AVP, which I know is not a part of the 5, but AVP actually probably was my favorite. Just because it goes back, tells history, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the girl being the hero.
Yes. Do you remember showing this movie to me when I was a child?
I don't remember when you saw it, but I feel like, again, it was on TV, and I was like, oh my God, that's my favorite. And you just started watching it, and I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm to blame for your love of horror movies.
Yeah, you definitely helped it out.
I was like, no cartoons, we're watching Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say to add on to that, I remember you loving Predator so much that it's always been a sentimental movie for me to watch, because I guess when you love someone, you start to just love the things that they love, you know? I mean, depending. You might hate some things they love too, but this was always one that I just always admired your passion for this movie. So it's a special one. Yeah.
It's an awesome movie.
And then Derek wanted to ask you if you knew about Jean-Claude Van Damme's role in this movie.
Yes, I did. There's a lot of speculation about him playing the part. One, he was too short. Two, he was very whiny, and he also, John McTiernan told him that if he passed out one more time, hence the heat, the jungle, he's in a suit, he kept getting sick and he passed out. And John said, after you pass out the third time, you're done. I'm going to have to fire you. And, you know, with him being so short, yes, he, you know, had the moves of, you know,
Martial artist, right?
Martial arts. And that's what Jean-Claude wanted to portray for the Predator. But John McTiernan did not want that. He did not want a Predator martial artist. That was not in the history of it. So I believe that they picked the right person to portray the Predator. What was his name?
I can look it up really quick.
I want to say it was like Patrick Hall or something like that.
Kevin Peter Hall.
Okay, Kevin Peter Hall. Okay, I knew it had a P and a Hall in it, but anyway, yeah. So they actually did great choosing him. I think he's like 7'2".
Yeah, he's a tall guy, huh?
Yeah. So that worked out really well.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to add in here?
I hope they keep making these movies forever.
Yeah, I think they definitely will.
I hope.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
it's my favorite movie.
Thank you for letting me interview you.
You're welcome.
All right. I'll talk to you later. I love you.
All right. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
There it is.
There it
All
is.
right.
There it was. How was it? Did I sound
so-
sick? Yep. Okay, good.
So you've seen this movie a lot growing up.
Yes.
Good.
And I always enjoyed it. So got a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Here's some thoughts. Derek, this is the first time you've seen Predator.
No. First off, TBS like ran the stuff out of this movie.
You're right. TBS did play this all the time.
And so there is something to be said being a child of the 80s. I really feel like the action star came into its own, like really went like mega big in the 80s. And this is like just one of those movies. You know what I mean? Like I can't think of another movie that has the bravado and the like testosterone.
Yeah.
That this movie has, especially like the beginning of it, like when they're all kind of coming together. Like, not the first time I've seen this movie. I mean, it was a big household favorite just because of like just how action packed it was, and it's also very quotable.
It is very quotable. Yeah, you're right. It
Get
is.
to the chopper.
Yeah, same thing, Derek. That is funny. It was TBS that used to run this all the time. Do you guys remember Dinner in a Movie?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Lydia, if you don't know what Dinner in a Movie was, it was this show where basically there were two co-hosts, a male and a female, and they would make a dish in between. So like basically the movie you're watching, they would be hosting it and they would be making like a new recipe. And they would, talk about the movie. It's kind of like, the Last Drive-In or Joe Bob, but they'd be making dinner in between. And this was on there a lot. And so was damn Die Hard 2. Played Die Hard 2 so many times as well. But so I remember watching it on that. I remember watching it on cable. I actually had this on VHS, like a grainy, terrible VHS copy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't own it for a long time, and I bought the Blu-ray when it came out. And so I try to put it in every couple of years because it's one of those, like you said, Derek. It is definitely a time capsule to the 80s.
Oh my God.
And a time capsule to especially 80s action movies. So yeah, I have a lot to say about this as well, but we might as well start at the beginning and start with, one of the best introductions to a character ever, which is when we first meet Dutch.
Yep.
So we get first of all, the music is so good. The music's so good in this movie. It rules.
Well, it's also iconic. Like,
Yeah.
If you've seen this movie one time, when it comes on, you're like, hey, I know that one. That's got to be Predator.
Mm-hmm. And when we get when they're unloading and we see everybody unloading, we just see Dutch sitting in the chopper and he lights his cigar. And you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You already know he's a badass. Just from that one moment, you're just like, okay. And it's Arnold, but you're like, okay. And then my favorite introduction of all time, I always quote it, is Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Dylan! You son of a bitch.
We get that great bicep.
Oh my God, that was like that's where the testosterone really kicked in right there.
Yeah.
And they're just like it's more like midair arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Until like one of them gives. But yeah, like the shot of Arnold's bicep, and then you've got Carl over there with, he's no slouch.
No,
but he's
no
not Arnold.
Yeah. Love it. Love that shot so much. Love that scene. And so the setup is, Dutch is supposed to go in to save these hostages, is what he's told. There's a mission. There's the Colombians have taken these hostages. He has to get in there, get them out. in Extract, because Dutch said he doesn't do, he's not he's not a murderer. He's not a murder for hire. They're a rescue team. So it sets him up already with where his moral line is. And then we're introduced to our commandos. And guys, what do you think of our ragtag group of badasses here?
They're a special group, man. There's that guy who keeps trying to get the one guy to crack up.
Oh my!
The jokes he says, man, I'm just like, oh god.
That is Shane Black.
Is it?
Writer of Lethal Weapon, director of Iron Man 3. Yes, that is Shane Black.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so let's just kind of run through them. We have he plays Hawkins. That's Shane Black. Shane Black is Hawkins. We have Carl Weathers, of course, is Dylan, like I said. And then we have Mac, played by the great Bill Duke. Bill Duke's got such a great face.
Dude, he perspirates so much in this movie.
He does. And then you have freaking Jesse the Body Ventura as Blaine Cooper.
I ain't got time to bleed.
God! How cool is he with his freaking minigun that he carries around?
Heck
right.
Yeah.
Then you got Richard Chavez as Pancho. He's the explosive expert. And then, of course, you have Sonny Landham as Billy, the tracker.
I love his character in this.
I love all of these characters. They're so fun. They're just fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. They are all a lot of fun. Like, so the acting was not super great in this movie, but that's not the reason why you watch this movie. But I do think that the group that they brought together, like those actors and for these roles, like, they're
perfect.
Really perfect casting, yeah. And
well, they have a camaraderie too. Like the characters have a camaraderie, except for Dylan, who's the outsider coming in.
Yeah.
But our core guys, like, they care about each other, and they're like, he's like, they like know each other on a personal level. I like the chopper ride when we get introduced to each of them and their personalities. We have freaking Jesse Ventura's over there, like, just spitting nasty chewing tobacco.
Yeah, nah. I love how he spits on his boot.
Yeah, it's great.
I give two shits about you, buddy.
So we're and then they land in country and they go on their mission and they find the chopper, and it's not good what they find. They find some skinned folks.
Yep.
Which is not something you see every day unless you're, part of the Sawyer family. So, if Leatherface is your brother, then you see it all the time. But so they think that these people are just sick, demented. And then Dutch finds out that one of the people is somebody he knows, another soldier that he had known. So they go and...
Real quick.
Yeah.
Because there is some relevance to this. Did anybody else hear I don't know if it was like a mainstream thing, but at least a conspiracy of the Stranger Things and Hopper reference? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Hopper reference.
Yeah.
And related to this movie. Anyway, I thought
that
was funny when I heard it. I was like, that's interesting, but no way.
Yeah, and there's a character named Hawkins.
There is a character named Hawkins as well.
A lot of Stranger Things going on here.
They love Predator and John Carpenter movies and Stephen King books. That's what the Duffer Brothers love. And Nightmare on Elm Street from the last season, obviously. But guys, this section that we get into where they wreck everything. This action sequence is incredible.
Well, wait, we got to rewind just a little bit because the tracker guy, I forget what his name is.
Billy.
So Billy, he really shows his skills and
Yeah.
the lead up to getting to this place, because he's looking around and he's examining like how everything kind of played out, and he was like, these guys did this, and I think at one point he was like, this is wrong. I'm pretty sure he said that.
Yeah, well, he says that he saw some some U.S. Military boot marks and stuff, and Dylan keeps playing it off like I don't know anything about that. Must be just patrol or whatever. So yeah, they end up discovering the base, and they build this plan, and then essentially they just start blowing them up. This action scene's incredible. My favorite bit.
Do you think that Dutch like went a little rogue because of what he saw happen to the
he saw
the US guy?
well, when he saw the hostage being assassinated, he was like, well, we got to get in there now, and it doesn't look like any of them are alive anyway. We got to go in and see what we can do. So he just makes his move, and the way he does it, sets an explosive on that truck and then picks it up. It throws it down the thing. I was watching it and I was like, yeah, Arnold.
Well, and it catches his other the other people in his crew a little off guard, because a couple of them were like, what is he doing?
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, but no, that's the macho.
Yeah, how tough he is. Yeah, he just picks this up and gets it off. Then we get this fun, great action set piece where there's just explosions galore. There's multiple machine guns firing. There's Arnold throwing a knife at a dude and saying, stick around.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this bit?
I think it's so awesome. I think it's great. It's so funny too, because like we were sitting there watching it and Jake was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. He's like, I won't miss anything because it's just started and like nothing's happening yet. And then like the entire time he's gone was this like gigantic action sequence.
Yeah.
And he came back and he was like, what did I miss?
You're like, everything.
Yeah, I was like, oh, just like the biggest action sequence of all time.
Yeah, it's one of the best. It's a great, what's great about it is it's a good, fun action sequence.
Yeah.
And it sets your expectations that, that's what you're watching is an action movie.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about this movie, like if you just saw Arnold on the cover and it's Predator, like, it's an Arnold action movie. And then you go in and it keeps that expectation. This whole first act is like the end of a regular action movie, So we get this big explosion-filled fight scene. We meet Anna when she pulls out a gun and Arnold like knocks her out after he's literally mowed down everybody else. So she was lucky.
Yeah.
And so then we find out that Dylan, knew about it. He brought Dutch and company there to destroy this Arns Bazaar, essentially. There were no hostages that needed to be saved, like no ambassador. They lied to him because Arnold doesn't do wet work. So he says, I don't do this kind of work. And he's like, well, why us? Because you're the best. And, basically said that they're expendable. And Arnold says, my men aren't expendable. And like he grabs Dylan, like throws him up against the wall. And Dylan probably shit himself because I would have.
Yeah.
So we find out that Dylan is kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
So he's kind of our antagonist pretty much throughout the movie. And they take the girl with them and they're heading off. And that's when this is where we get a bunch of great one-liners. We get the one you said earlier, Derek, where, Jesse Ventura's bleeding from his arm and he's like, you're bleeding. I ain't got time to bleed. He says,
time to duck.
Yeah, I like when he says he's burrowed in there like an Alabama hick or like an Alabama tick.
Yeah,
like, what a
he
fucking line.
Yep.
What a line. He's burrowed up there like an Alabama tick.
Yep. Caught that one.
So yeah, then from here we move on. It literally jumps to a horror movie, like a sci-fi movie, out of nowhere. Next thing we know, we see that like there's a point of view watching them. We see the predator vision, and we just see like this point of view watching them. There's that great bit where so we also see that the predator starts mimicking people. He takes things from them and like replays their voices and stuff. But always like when Hawkins tells Billy the joke.
Yeah.
And then Billy laughs, and we go to the predator version. It's like, ho, 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 ho.
Yeah.
Dude, what a laugh, though.
Yeah.
That laugh is incredible.
I mean,
Also-
what I'm trying to think of this. Was that the Echo joke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to replay.
Why'd
the
you say
joke.
it twice? I didn't.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah,
you get it?
I don't
Because it's so
wanna-
big.
Yeah,
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
it is pretty funny, but
His reaction is funnier, though. You know, like,
Yeah,
it's really
for
his
sure.
reaction that,
Because he sits there for a second and thinks about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, did he, like, because before he's telling the joke, trying to get him to laugh, and he doesn't. And it's because he's preparing. You know, he's like mentally preparing. He's like, I don't got time for your jokes right now. And then you finally see him break, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. He is a cool guy.
yeah. I mean, the way he laughs.
He is a human.
Yeah, the way he laughs and that echo, the way the echo.
Yeah.
So creepy and weird.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And then I love that shot of the predator's hand when he picks up the scorpion that Mac
Yep.
gets off of Dylan, and he holds it up. I love that shot of the scorpion in his hand with the predator vision. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, infrared.
Yeah. The infrared, the predator vision is a cool idea, and it's a great concept to keep the predator in the movie without seeing him, but making it distinct. And then the next iteration we see is, of course, camouflage predator.
Yeah.
And we really see camouflage predator when Jesse Ventura bites it,
Yeah.
essentially. He has his minigun out. They're starting to put pieces together that there's something out there, something weird's going on. And
Is he the first one to bite it, or the one of the other guys was?
no, it's him.
Was it him?
Yes.
Because she took off running. Is that
Yes.
after he got killed?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. I think maybe Hawkins is the first to die.
Yeah, because she took off running. And
And
then-
Hawkins chases her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hawkins is the first to die, but we don't really see the cloaking until we see Blaine get killed,
Yeah.
because we see it kind of appear. He appears for Hawkins, and then just the blood splatters all over her face,
Yep.
and then
And they're like, why didn't she run?
yeah,
Like,
and they're trying to tell. She's like, "What's going on? What happened here? What is this?" And she said that the jungle came alive.
yeah.
And Dylan's like, "That's not what she said. It's no more than 3 or 4 men." And I was like, "You're an idiot." You're so stupid, Dylan.
If you're in her position and you've never seen anything quite like it's a fairly good description of what happened.
Yeah, because
You could
since
see
it's a
why she would
trilogy,
say that.
Yeah, the jungle did come to life.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, at this point, they're on edge. And he's like, "Let's find Hawkins' body." Because they just find his remains. They not even a full remain. They don't know what we don't see it. It's just like too grotesque for us to see with our eyes.
Yeah.
The
'cause
characters have to tell us.
Doesn't Arnold say, did you find him? And they're like, we don't know.
Yeah, I can't tell. And then he goes over and looks, and we just see his face. His face tells the whole story. He's just kind of like disturbed, like, what is this?
Yeah.
While we're in the jungle and we're moving along, we get that great bit where Blaine dies. He sees it move, and he pulls the minigun, and before he could do anything, he's like, I got you. And then his like heart just gets exploded out of his body from the shoulder cannon. And Mac sees it. Mac comes in and sees the Predator's glowing eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, shooting at it. And he goes over and picks up the minigun. And this is that scene where all of the characters get together and they just mow down the whole jungle.
Yep.
Unload multiple clips on it. What do you guys think of this bit?
So badass.
Dude, I would have loved to have been any person on that crew that day where they're just like, yep, we're going to mow the jungle down with these guns. I don't know how they did. I'm sure they did it with actual guns, but it just looks great.
Yeah, it's a great shot. It's a great moment because you see them all. And it's a great moment to show how hard to kill the Predator is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like how elusive he is.
What you can't see.
Yeah, and it's like just this kind of, he's so elusive. And they're, they have all of these weapons and it does them no good. But that chain gun, he's like firing it. Bill Duke is, nothing. And then I love this next scene where we find out that Max, we knew that Mac and, Blaine were like real good friends, but they do a great job of conveying it in this scene. Like Max, kind of shocked. He's still like kind of shell shocked. This is his friend that has died. And when Dutch tells him, he was a good soldier, and he said, he was my friend. And then he goes off and he's like, takes a drink and puts the flask on him. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually like, sorry, Mac. I feel that.
Yeah.
He's like, until we meet again, bro. Oh, man.
Won't be long.
No, you'll be joining him soon. And so Mac is definitely on edge, of course. Everybody is. But Mac is not in his right mind. He just wants revenge. His best friend is gone. And he's like losing it. Like that scene where he's like sitting there and he's talking to himself. He's not talking to himself. He's talking to Blaine. Yeah. And he's like, you just us in the jungle, like we come out without a scratch on us. Like always, like I'm gonna carve your name into them. And they had set primers up, explosions across the bridge, so that way it would trigger whatever this thing is. And it goes off, and Matt gets attacked by something. And he starts stabbing the shit out of it, and it's a wild boar.
Like the biggest wild boar I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, it's ginormous.
Yeah.
So big. That's terrifying. He probably did think that was the Predator. I would have.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how difficult that would be to take down an animal that size with your bare hands.
Just a knife.
I mean, like,
yeah, just a knife. Yep.
He had a knife, but like that's some thick skin to get through. Like that's not an easy thing.
No.
And he does it. And the guy jokes, he's like, "Could you have found anything bigger?"
Yeah.
It's like literally like the biggest thing in that jungle.
And you hear Billy, he's like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
Doing his laugh.
You're muted, Derek.
Dang it, man. I was like, I'm not gonna do it this episode.
Never gonna not be. That's never gonna happen.
Let me, bastard. Anyway. No, the reason why I like this scene is while they're like destroying this boar with a knife, the Predator actually snuck in and stole the body of the fallen soldier.
Yes.
So and we kind of get to this later, maybe a little bit later in this movie, but like, what is the Predator's motivation, right? He's kind of a game hunter.
He's a hunter. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like he was going to collect his trophy, his kill. I just love that, he is out there lurking, waiting so that he could get his trophy. That's scary.
Yeah, and he's taking them out one by one.
Yep.
And there's that bit where Arnold is talking with Dylan, or he's talking with Dylan and Anna. He's talking to everybody, and they say, Arnold says he's hunting us down one by one. They said and Billy says like a hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and it clicks in his head, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're right. This thing is hunting us." Which, by the way, was the original name of this movie was called Hunter.
Oh.
But
Man.
Predator is a cooler name, so
Way
they went with
cooler.
Predator.
It is, I guess.
Hunter's a cool name too.
Yeah, it is. But man, whoever's in charge of marketing, where they're just like Hunter, I mean, maybe, but Predator.
Yeah.
That guy hopefully got a raise because.
And then Chris
Sounds
Hansen's
fun.
like, "Yes,
One
have a
day.
seat."
Yeah. Maybe you're right, Jamie. Maybe Hunter was all right name.
And that's what
Whatever.
they're going to call
they
Triple
had it
H's
first.
movie.
The Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter. So yeah, we have our surviving characters that are trying to take the fight. Basically, Arnold says we're gonna, we've got to fight here because we got to make a stand. So if not, what are we gonna do? Because Dylan wants to get to the chopper because the evac's there. So they set up all of these traps, and there's this great montage of them setting them up, and you see all of them with their shirts off and their giant biceps, and they're just, just like, yeah.
Okay, USA. Wrong.
You just
movie.
get all pumped up even more.
Yeah.
And I like that bit where Dylan's like bitching about something, and he basically, Dutch calls him out and says, well, might go quicker if you help us instead of just, basically bitching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's like, you're doing all these Boy Scout.
Yeah, you think this Boy Scout shit's gonna work? And he's like, well, better than standing around here getting killed, and maybe you should help us, and we might be able to do it.
And they
So
got a lot of traps to set.
Yeah, and they
There's a
set up
lot.
this
That would take
really
me all day.
big one. They pick up this really big one, this net. It has a tripwire net, and they're waiting
works?
for. Yeah, well, they're waiting for it, and Dutch's frame of mind is that maybe he can't see this stuff. He saw the tripwires because of his heat vision, but maybe he won't be able to see these. And he doesn't know he has heat vision at the time. He's just saying he was able to detect the bombs. Maybe he can't detect the trees, which is smart thinking.
Yeah.
And it does work, Derek. Yeah. There's a really suspenseful scene where Dutch goes out basically to put himself as bait.
Yeah, well, because Dylan kind of has a line right there where he's like, what are you gonna do next? Set out some cheese or something?
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a good idea. We need some cheese out here. So he goes.
And he's the cheese, yep. And when the net gets taken up and he starts freaking firing the cannon, and dude, that big log just destroys Pancho. He gets wrecked.
That's so upsetting.
I know. Pancho's a good guy. Because at this point, Anna because Pancho was the one that was the go-between, the translator. Anna has revealed that she can speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that not only can she speak English, but there's this great bit where she talks about the people of her, her people of her village and stuff, how they talk about this. And when it's, a hot summers, that when the days get hot, sometimes this alien comes to hunt, or this, whatever it is, it comes to hunt.
This demon. The
demon, as they call it. Yeah. And she gives him this long speech about it. And there's a great rack focus shot where we're on her, and then we rack focus to Dutch, and he's just kind of like, like, what the fuck is going on? He hears it, and I just love his reaction because he's just like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I don't like any of it, but let's figure it out. So the Predator runs off. We find out, Arnold, Dutch, he's always Arnold, but Dutch finds out that it bleeds, and that's when he says the classic, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." So the Predator runs off, and Mac and Dylan give chase because Dutch is going to chase after it to go get Mac. He's going to go try to get Mac, and Dylan's like, "No, I've been an asshole this whole time. This is my chance at redemption. You guys head to the chopper. I'm going to go get Mac." So he takes the two guns, Dutch throws him one, and he takes off. And what do you guys think of this next set piece with Dylan and Mac hunting the Predator?
It's great. So kind of set some of this up. Who was it? Dylan. Yeah, Dylan can hear somebody whisper something. So he goes over and Mac grabs puts his hand around his mouth and he points to him like he sees him. And so then that sets up the suspense and they're like, we got to be super, super quiet. Not knowing that this creature can literally knows what your heat signature is.
Yeah.
So you can hide anywhere you want. He can pretty much find you. So, I love the scene where he's crawling and all of a sudden
God, that's so cool. Yeah.
He sees the three little lines in a triangle on his arm and he looks up and then just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got some commentary on the other guy's death. Can we go with it?
Yeah.
All right. So he can't win. An alligator took his hand.
Yeah.
And a predator took his arm.
And then Ivan Drago took
his life.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys.
That was a predator, but that was a Billy Madison reference right there. But
and Rocky IV. Yeah. Carl Weathers just died all the time. That's what he did in movies for a while.
He did.
When he showed up in The Mandalorian, the first episode, and he gets shot, I was like, motherfucking Carl Weathers always gets shot. And then he doesn't die, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. I love how he is seemingly the same character
always
in Mandalorian as he is in this.
He is kind of, yeah. He's 100%, yeah.
I was thinking about that watching it. My mom still hasn't watched Mandalorian, and I really need her to watch it.
yes, it's good. Mandalorian's
I know
great.
she'll love it.
This would be a redemption arc, but there's not really much of an arc. I mean, he's past this point where he steps up and he does the right thing. I mean, that's too much longer after that, but at least he did.
Yeah, that's kind of his. He does go through an arc a little bit, where he decides, I'm not going to be a dirty bastard. I'm going to try to at least help people. Try to make amends.
Same character.
Amends. Yeah, he has a character growth. But yeah, his death, his death's great because he gets his arm blown off, and it's still firing.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the ground, which is great. And then the Predator comes up and stabs him with his freaking cool claw.
That is such a cool thing. That's such a cool design for a weapon.
The way it sheets out.
Yeah.
He must have read some Wolverine comics.
Yeah. Right? Something.
The way he picks him up, man, is so cool. And then, he screams, of course, and he's done. And then our other characters are making it to the chopper, and Billy just decides, no, you know what? I've got to go face it. I've got to go face it alone.
I'm sad about Billy's death, only because you really only get a scream. But I do love how he sets it up. He's like, you know what? He starts throwing his shit off, takes his shirt off, fucking cuts his chest. What kind of a psychopath does that? You know what? I'm going to make this easier on the Predator. I'm going to cut my muscles up.
Yeah, just cut deep into my flesh.
He was
logic. But then you don't even get to see his death. All you hear is his scream.
His scream, yeah. I guess he does that to lure it, probably to lure it towards him.
You know what? The blood's not enough. I need to scream like a bitch.
Well, he gets killed, yeah, and it's his death off screen. But we do see what happens to him when later the predator rips his spine out of his body.
Yeah.
And
it's
raises
like,
it in the air,
"Ah."
which is really great. A great image.
It's so gruesome.
So cool. Great image. And so, Dutch tells her not to pick up any weapons.
Yeah.
Because
Which
he's like,
she continues to not listen to.
yeah, he's like, don't pick up any weapons because that's why he didn't kill you, because you were not unarmed. And he takes out Pancho with a shot, just a simple shot. So Pancho, had like that great bit.
So here's the thing. Once he tells her that, which is something that he has recognized, would your next move not to be to completely disarm?
Yeah, you maybe, but you also don't. That he's kind of just guessing. You also don't. You also don't want to be unarmed. At the same time.
Yeah, I guess.
In the jungle with this fucking weird creature. No, but I get
I'd have
what you're
been like,
saying.
hey, that makes sense. I'd have started throwing off all my shit.
Well,
Yeah,
Billy did.
Make yourself not a target.
Yeah.
He still had his knife.
He did, yeah.
And
I think
it was too late.
He's hunting them at that point too. Yeah, it's too late.
I think it was too late. He already knows by looking at this
Knows they're a
human
threat.
that he's a top predator on this planet. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
And-
I guess you.
Yeah,
He
he
already
does
saw
look
it.
bigger than 98% of the world.
He's like, yep, that's a large amount of testosterone.
He's already after him, so he's might as well stay armed.
Yeah. And at that point, he's already tried to shoot him. It's a thing. You know what I mean? Like, now they're hunting. She had not, so that's why he's, didn't attack her. She wasn't part of the hunting party. But Dutch basically tells her to go to the chopper. He gets, runs from the predator.
You got to do it.
Get to the chopper!
There's only one way to say that.
Yes, so he yells for her to get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. And falls down, jumps into this waterfall, and just careens down. And it's
does.
great. There's this great, he swims and he climbs up onto shore and he gets covered in mud. And we see the predator drop. We see just the camouflage. We hear the splash and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And he climbs back and we find out that the predator can't see him because he's caked in this mud and it covers his heat signature.
So this is fascinating because whenever this happened, I paused the movie and I looked at the clock because the water messed with his cloaking device.
Yes.
This is the first time you get to see the predator.
Mm-hmm.
And you're an hour and 18 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, it's the first time you get to see him clearly because there's a couple shots where he decloaks and we see him for just a split second.
I guess you're right. Maybe
he does it with I think Dylan or Mac, one of them, and he's is up on the tree and he decloaks and then recloaks. But this is where you get to see him fully. Well, actually, there's a shot earlier when the predator fixes his leg that you get to see him.
All right, well, thanks for just destroying my thing. Yeah, because you're right. He was bleeding, and he.
Yeah, and we see him fix his leg, and we get that shot of him from the side. So we see him, but this is the first time we've seen him clearly, fully in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Once his cloaking device dies, and it's so cool that he can't see Dutch because of him being. That's such a great idea, right?
Yeah. Well, and so before Dutch jumps into the water, he's trying to fight the predator, and at one point he punches the predator. The predator fucking punches him back. But this is a really cool because so he's on a log. He's crawling to the log to try to get up, and the predator takes his his claw-like thing and like sticks it right between his.
You're way ahead of where we are.
Am I?
Yeah. We're talking about when he falls down the waterfall.
But he did get into a fight. Maybe I am a little far ahead. Yeah,
you're way ahead. Because at this point, he hides and the predator leaves.
Yeah, I know that he hides, but I thought they had a little bit of a
no, he hides and the
he
predator
got
leaves.
shot. That's right,
Yeah.
he got shot. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got shot, and that's why
And
he
falls
crawled
down.
over and
Yeah.
Okay.
Crawls over the thing. So
Yeah.
he because he has to first devise a plan to beat the predator.
Mhm.
He can't fight him. So it's great because the predator goes off into his, like, he's doing his own thing. He's like up on the woods. He's up on a tree. He's boiling skulls, cleaning his trophies. And Dutch is building these traps to fight the predator. And he's getting it all done. And we get this montage of him building these different traps and stuff, building weapons. He empties out his grenade launcher bullets to, make a bow and arrow. There's a great shot of him like bending the bow over his arms like this, and you see just how fucking absolutely ripped Arnold was. And he's like flexing like that, and I was like, God dang, man.
Yep.
Does
And
this guy think he is a bodybuilder?
yeah, well, dude, and then we get that great shot of when he decides to lure the predator towards him, and he lights that torch.
Oh man, the yell is so good.
So cool, right?
It's
He looks-
so like next level Tarzan.
Yeah, and he's so guttural and like just looks so legit, so cool.
Yeah.
Then we get the final standoff. What do you guys think of this this whole final battle with the predator?
It's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
very cat and mouse, right?
Do you guys
It is
think that
really
the mud trick would work? Because I
to a
personally
certain
don't.
degree, but not
Yes.
to the extent that is portrayed in the movie. Because
Yeah,
it makes him
it
completely.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes him well, and especially like once it's so a couple of things like once he starts to heat back up, like one thing that would have played into that was he just fell into like cool water, so that would have helped
Yeah.
with his body heat.
Yeah,
He
that's
was
kinda what
caked
I
in
was
this
thinking.
mud.
Yeah.
But like once he starts to like get a like physical activity, that mud's only going to go so far, and then it dries.
And then there's also the fact that his the predator's shit's starting to fuck up because of the water and the damage. So he's not completely seeing everything perfectly anyway. So his heat vision's kind of on the fritz as well. And then the mud is great. It's a great concept because it just camouflages him. And I love this cat and mouse game.
I love the concept. Yes.
I love the
Awesome.
idea of him when he jumps up onto the tree and he's like hiding.
Yeah.
There's a couple of great shots where where he's sitting on the tree waiting for it, and the predator climbs down behind him and doesn't know he's there. Is so cool.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
then
Then
when
he swings over to another tree.
yeah, and he hangs on it, and then the predator goes to the fire, and that's where Dutch just completely fucks up all of his shit. Like he has the exploding arrow, blows him up, and it starts, it damages all of his stuff. And then we get into like an actual, confrontation and fight. And he thinks he's defeated him. And then the predator comes out and grabs him by the throat and slams him up against a tree. And then he's looking at him and then he drops him because he doesn't have any weapons.
Mhm.
So he takes off his helmet and goes to fighting. Because this is what you were talking about, where he puts the spikes right between his neck and then picks him up and slams him against the tree. And he takes off his helmet, and of course Arnold says, "You are one ugly motherfucker." So we see the Predator's design. This is a good time to talk about the Predator's design. How awesome is the Predator?
Beautiful.
So awesome.
It's amazing, right?
And mainly because it's not CGI.
Yeah, it's so realistic. It's so like disgusting looking. Like you can't like I just think he's honestly probably one of the most realistic aliens depicted in anything ever. Like I don't know why, but he just seems like a real alien. Like he seems so legit, you know?
Well, it's because of Stan Winston Studios and creating this wonderful design. James Cameron's the one that had the idea for the mouth mandibles. He was talking to Stan Winston when he came aboard, and James Cameron wasn't involved in the movie. They just were chatting. He was talking to Stan, and he was talking to me about the movie. He's like, "Oh, it'd be cool if he had these mandibles." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. That would be cool." So it came in there.
Yeah.
Here is
Go ahead.
Here's the original design for the Predator that Van Damme was playing, and it's horrible. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that's terrible.
What the absolute shit fuck is that?
That's
definitely not as good.
No.
I mean, it looks like some kind of like weird like dinosaur alligator situation. I don't even know what, but like looks like a Power Ranger suit.
There
almost.
he is.
Like a Power Ranger
JCVD
villain.
himself.
Yep, JCVD right there.
So here's the reason why, like in this scene specifically, whenever you see his face, like a lot of times it's easy to identify like, ah, man, that's totally like a rubber mask or something like that. But just the way that they coated it, the shine that was on it with whatever.
The articulation they have in his eyebrows and the mandibles.
Everything about it, like it looks real.
Yeah.
Or as real as you could get without going to a completely, CGI character. It's hard to really downplay
Prove upon that. Yeah.
How good it looked.
Yeah, it's really great. And the Predator himself, Kevin Peter Hall plays the Predator, and he's super, super tall and super big, and that makes him so intimidating standing next to Arnold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
You have to be really tall. Yeah.
Yeah, and when he picks him up and slams him against the tree or the rock or whatever it was, they show a shot of the legs to show a height discrepancy to really give you an idea how imposing this creature is to someone who is as as manly as Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. So, yeah, what do you guys think of? So basically, how he's defeated is great, I think. So he's beating him. The Predator's just whooping his ass all over, just slamming him around, and finally decides he's going to kill him. Pulls out the knives. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then Dutch crawls into that hole where he has set up the trap, and he's trying to lure him in. The Predator's too smart for him. Like he starts to go in, and Dutch is saying, "Kill me, kill me," and he sees the spikes. He reaches up and sees them, and you see the articulation in his face is so good. Like you can see the wheels turning, the way he looks at him. So he jumps around on the other side, and Dutch looks up and sees the weight that's going to set off the trap above him. So he kicks the trap, and this giant log just smashes him. Fucks him up. Cyrano de Bergerac style.
Yeah.
It's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. So he gets Cyranoed, and Dutch goes over and looks at his body, and he goes to see him because he thinks he's raising up, and he's all like fucked up and bleeding everywhere. What do you guys think of like all of this leading up to the self-destruct?
I love how he like sees the trap, like he knows, like he notices it and like is like, I don't think I'm gonna go this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and it's a great idea. Like I love the way that Dutch's brain worked when he saw the thing above him. He's like, "Oh, I've got an idea," and kicks it, and it just this giant. Of course, it's got to be nature that takes him out, right? It's got to be a piece of nature that takes this creature out. and bam, and he looks so creepy when he's laying there, and he's like, just bleeding out, but also kind of sad because he's like dying. You know what I mean?
The creature,
and, yeah,
predator.
Yeah, the predator's dying, and Dutch is standing over him, and he's just like, he pushes his button and sets off his self-destruct, and Dutch, understands what it is after a second. I would have understood immediately when it started beeping. If something's beeping, I just run. Like, I'm not going to take my chances. And then Predator starts laughing using Billy's laugh.
Yep.
Which is really creepy. I love that. And we get this cool, like, giant explosion. And Dutch makes it to the chopper. Just barely. And he's covered in soot. And he and Anna are the only survivors. And he's looking over this desolate, wasteland that the Predator created. And he's just in shock. And we fade out. What do you guys think of this ending?
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy because it's like, how do you have so many of these like emotions in this one like short couple scenes, like you go from like you're almost rooting for the Predator at some points, like when he's like bleeding out, you're like sad. Like, how is that possible?
If the Predator was fighting anybody but Arnold, I would be rooting for him. But
right,
since it's Arnold, I'm like, nah, man.
You're like, obviously we're on Arnold's side. So why do we feel bad? Why do we feel bad for the Predator?
Because the articulation of the creature, how good they made it look.
Yeah, it's like you're somehow attached to him, which is cool. And then he self-destructs in this gigantic explosion,
like almost a nuclear explosion.
Yeah, like unreal big explosion.
What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The last bit of this movie is just, it's an epic battle. And a lot of times, like, they will shorten the battles with the bad guy, especially nowadays. Like, they're kind of quick. This one was not that way. It was drawn out, like, it was not necessarily a back and forth, but like it was a good cat and mouse. Yep, good cat and mouse. And he really, meaning Dutch, once he understood like how this creature was able to track, he did a great job of devising a way to, skirt its view and, using nature to really try to take this thing out. It's a really great movie. I think this last bit is great. It really encapsulates the movie.
Yeah, it's a great suspenseful, fun stalk and fight scene
for sure.
Because it's just this whole sequence of Dutch basically trying to one up, this perfect killing machine and man overcoming, and it's a great ending. Then the ending, is, we're like, oh, thank God Dutch made it out and everything. And then Dutch is just like, I'm never going to be the same after this. This was crazy, So then we go off, and the next time we see the Predator, it is in, a fucked up, weird Los Angeles.
Danny Glover gets
in the future. Yeah. And that is John McTiernan's Predator. What are you guys' thoughts? Let's start with you, Lydia. What do you think of John McTiernan's Predator?
I love it. I genuinely love it. And I think nostalgia plays a big part of it, but also I think it holds up as its own standalone film today, even. Like, I mean, it's obviously it's an 80s movie through and through, 80s action, sci-fi horror. Like, it's just everything you want out of a movie experience. It's just so good. I think I'm gonna give it a 9. I don't know. It's probably a 10, but I feel like I gotta take some points away for a few things. They use a couple words in here that probably shouldn't be used, but it was the 80s, so it was fine then, right?
Yeah,
And then there's just, some of the acting and like some little things that could be tweaked to make this movie a perfect 10 perfection. But I think we're almost there. So I love this movie. It's great.
Derek.
So we're on the same page, Lydia. This movie, because of the way that they designed the Predator, and the way that, they didn't opt to go with any CGI or anything like that.
Well, CGI didn't exist. It's 1987.
Well, yeah, but so really the only thing that that really dates this movie, other than some of the language, is the cloaking and like the scene with the eyes. If you were to like correct those things like with modern technology, like this movie 100% stands up to most movies that I would say are released today. Like this movie was really well made. Some of the shots are actually cool. Like whenever there's a scene where like they're tracking up a tree. I think it's when Dutch like goes to look for somebody. And then like you see blood trails and you get all the way up to the top of the tree and it's just like, skinless body. Like there's some really cool shots in this movie. The only real knock I'm going to give is like at times some of the acting is a little spotty. But other than that, it's a very solid movie and it's a lot of fun. This movie is a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5.
So guys, I hear your critiques. And I know they're valid critiques, but I wouldn't change anything about this movie at all. I wouldn't. I love those things, those imperfections about it. That's what make this movie this movie. And this is one of those movies that made Arnold a star.
For sure.
I mean, it's one of those because you can't take your eyes off of him in the movie. He's just so charismatic. He's just so charismatic, and he looks amazing, and you get all this fun, the great music, the great John McTiernan shots, and the jokes. There's some great Arnold one-liners. There's also one where he says he goes to hit the Predator with the tree trunk, and it smashes it off with his hand, and he goes, "Bad idea."
Yeah.
Love it. So yeah, I really love it. I'm going to give this movie a 9.5. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. One of my favorites. One of my favorite Arnolds. I mean, we'll get to another. There's a couple other Arnold horror movies. I would consider the original Terminator a horror movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And End of Days is a horror movie. So we have another couple shots at Arnold that we can get to. But this is one of my favorite Arnolds. And it's one of my favorite 80s horror action movies. It rules. It rules. You guys know who John McTiernan is, right? He's the director of Die Hard. That's why the action's so good. Yeah. He made Die Hard right after this movie.
Did he really?
Yeah. Die Hard came out in 88. This came out in 87. He shot Predator, then he shot Die Hard. Just another okay-ish 80s action movie. AKA the very best one. How good is Die Hard? I know that's not what this podcast is, but how good is Die Hard, guys?
Die Hard is it's pretty great. It's a Christmas movie.
It's okay.
I will stand by that.
Okay, get out of here. It's excellent. It's one of my top. It's in my top 10 movies of all time. Die Hard was my favorite for a while, or up in my favorite. It never had passed John Carpenter's Halloween, guys. Let's be real, but it was always up there. It's a great one, and that is Predator. So, guys, we have a very hard task ahead of us.
Yeah.
Who is our man, Tom Atkins, playing in Predator?
Thrill me.
There's only one person it can be.
Who's that?
The general at the beginning. And I think-
Maybe. Yeah, he could play Hawkins, I suppose.
Who you gonna replace?
Hawkins is the only one I can think.
Well, I'm just like, this movie is so packed full of people who are just like the epiphany of macho.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a lot of times it's super easy. It's like, oh yeah, that guy's a pansy. We'll just throw Tom in there.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's super hard. This one's a hard one. That's my pick, is the general dude.
Yeah, I don't think Tom has ever probably been as in shape as some of these guys are.
Well, no, Tom Atkins is a different level of badass. He's like a different style of badass.
We'll make him the
0%
helicopter pilot or something.
He's not 2% body fat like these guys. Jesus Christ. There's a great story on set that Arnold kept like Jesse Ventura would always measure his biceps.
Mm-hmm.
So Arnold kept tricking them to make it think. So Jesse thought his arms were bigger than Arnold's. with the tailoring, you would have it but it wasn't. He was never bigger than Arnold.
Yeah.
Derek, are you trying to?
I have an itch. There is no mistaking. There's no mistaking that. No, I legitimately just have an itch.
Yeah. Hey, do you know where the gym is? Oh, never mind, I'll find it.
You guys want to buy some tickets to the gun show?
Jesus Christ. So yeah, I guess the general would have to be, I suppose. Unless we wrote a new character, we'll create another commando and throw it in the movie, and he'll make it all the way through, and he'll be the one to escort Anna to the chopper.
Oh, he could be Jim Hopper.
If we did a prequel, he could be.
He's just the skinned body up in the tree.
So guys, Lydia, it is your turn to pick.
It's my turn, and I think I know what I'm gonna pick, and I hope you guys aren't mad at me for it.
Is it Critters 3?
No, it's not Critters 3.
Is it Die Hard?
It's a combination of the past
couple
movies we've done.
No! No!
Lydia, are you gonna do what I think you're gonna do?
Alien versus Predator.
No!
Damn!
Oh.
I like
You
that
can thank-
movie.
You can thank Jake for that idea.
Oh, we get to go
I also
into
like that movie.
PG-13 hell.
Is there not a rated R like director's cut?
I
think there is.
I just feel like there's never gonna be a better time than now.
We might
to
as
do
There
well.
this.
isn't, Lydia. There isn't.
We
Jamie just said
have
it's your fault.
all of the rest of them to go through eventually. I mean, we have all of the rest of the Alien, and then the rest of the Predators to go through.
True.
And the Nightmare on Elm Streets and Halloween and Friday the 13th.
We have a lot to go through.
All
but
of
I
them.
feel like now
Virtual
is the
high
time.
five. This is my virtual high five to you. Thank you.
Hey, that's fine. I'll be fine with doing AVP. That's fine. We'll talk about it. I can tell you already that I'm not going to give AVP Requiem a good score if we ever do that one.
Oh no.
That's if we can see a frame of the movie.
Right?
It's so dark.
Yeah.
So dark.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that one eventually. Hopefully next year.
Hopefully not in this year.
Yeah.
Unless we just keep going and just finish this year out with only Alien and Predator movies, which we could probably do.
Yeah.
Probably.
Whatever.
We
I
only
feel
have-
like this was the natural escalation of where we were going, Lydia.
Yeah.
It was. It's my fault.
You
I
did
blame
good.
I blame myself. If I wouldn't have picked Predator this week, if I would have just picked Barbarian, then we would have been fine.
Yep. You
So
you
next
left
week-
it up to chance, really.
That's a good one. Next week is Alien vs. Predator. Where is that streaming?
Probably nowhere. Maybe somewhere.
Yeah, I think it might be on HBO Max. Nope, it's on Stars.
Oh, good Lord.
It is on Stars or Hulu.
I'll see if I can't buy it and get it to where we can watch it.
So next week it's on Stars, Hulu, AVP. Paul W.S. Anderson's AVP. You know, Resident. We have to do the Resident Evils eventually
Oh.
to get into those guys. The late sequels of Resident Evil are going to be rough when we get to those.
Yeah.
Those are going to be rough.
Yeah.
But until then, I mean, that's what we're doing. Derek, you should tell the story about us playing football.
Man, that story only works if I can, like, am I allowed to be the...
You have to be.
Do the vulgar part of it?
You have to do it. You have to.
Oh, man, Lydia, you might want to plug your ears for this one. Gosh, we were somewhere in Peru. We were...
Eck Park, I do believe.
Eck
no,
Park.
no. It wasn't Eck Park. It was the soccer field.
Yeah. So a bunch of us were playing football, right? Just tackle football, and me with my bum knees.
And let's take a sidebar to this real fast, because isn't it crazy that we used to play tackle football with no pads? We just used to smash into each other. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So
as an adult, I'm like, this is a horrible idea.
Well, a couple of years ago, I went to Peru for something, and Joey was playing like turkey. It was around Thanksgiving, and so he was playing football with a bunch of his friends from where he works. And they're like, man, why don't you come out here? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, first off, I'm completely out of shape. I will get halfway down the field and probably need to take a break. But other than that, man, I've had 2 reconstructive knee surgeries. I'm good. That's not a challenge I need to prove to myself. But at this time, I had a torn ACL because I torn my ACL in high school and got it repaired. And then playing backyard football after I graduated, I tore my ACL again. But
I was there when he did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no care in the world. We're out there playing football. And all of a sudden, my brother pulls up in this big white van because he worked for the railroad at the time. And he's like, hey, man, well, come over here. And so, like, we took a break, and I went over, and I'm talking to...
I follow him. Me and Derek both go over there.
And I'm talking to him, and I forget why he came over there. But so we have this friend, Carrie. She's a very attractive lady, and she is watching us play football, and she's sitting on the hood of her car.
We were all going to go, because we were going to go out afterwards. So she's there hanging out with us, watching us play football so we can leave.
Yeah.
She has like a little white Sunfire at this point. So she's just sitting in the hood of the car.
I knew it was a white car.
Yeah.
And so my brother, we're talking. He's like, hey, man, who's that? I mean, she is so far out of my brother's league. Like, it's not even funny. And he's like, hey, man, who's that? I was like, oh, that's my friend Carrie. He goes, breakfast.
Oh,
Lydia,
my God.
Earmuffs, Lydia. He goes, man, I'd suck her ovaries right out. Oh my God, that's the most disturbing visual. Who talks like that, man? Who talks like that? That's so gross.
Never heard that before.
You probably never will again.
That is so funny.
So he says this, and Derek literally goes, oh, Jake, get the fuck out of here.
That's so funny. Oh
my God. Anyway.
So we tell Carrie about this, and she is mortified.
Yeah.
Mortified. So that story when Carrie was leaned up against the seat and Jay was looking over top of her.
Oh, yeah.
That story when, remember we've told it on the podcast where Jay called to ask Derek to hold his weed.
Yeah.
And Carrie is hiding from him is because she knew that he called her breakfast and that wanted to suck her ovaries out. So he's hiding from her. She's hiding from him. She's like, nah, dog, I'm not here.
Yeah, and you know what's hilarious, and I don't understand why my brother even asked me that question. Like, if you know who I am, like if you know me in any like context, like there is absolutely no way that is a thing that I would do. I don't understand why my brother was like, "Hey man, you think you can hold these drugs for me?" No, man, that's a definite no. Like, what are you talking about?
I thought you were talking about sucking ovaries out.
I mean,
You're
that
like,
is also
the thing I would do, guys.
no. I mean that is also not a thing I would. That anyway. I don't want. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. The fact that he said, I mean, that is gross. But the fact that he says, breakfast, let's not just gloss over that. That is also disgusting.
Yeah, that's
and disturbing.
Gross. Yeah. He couldn't even see her because she's so far away.
Yeah,
He sees a female.
She's just minding her own business. She's
No, I
way
mean,
out of his league.
she was like one or two cars over, sitting on the like the hood of her car, watching us.
Gotcha.
So he definitely got to see her, and you know, Carrie is very pretty, but that comment just really took me off by surprise. I had no idea that he was going to come at me with that shit.
No, so one of the very best, and then you know, I just love the fact that you're like, Jay, you're fucking disgusting. Get out of here, and you made him leave. You're like, you need to go. You know, leave us alone.
Some special stuff right there.
Good stuff. That's a good story, Derek. We'll have to tell the story about the box factory next week. Hit some of those up. So, guys, next week it is Alien versus Predator, or as the marketing team called it, AFP. So you can find that on Hulu or Stars, or you can buy it. I don't know, whatever you guys want to do. Be sure to watch it for next week. You can follow us online. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia at Lydia Spooky. And you can follow me at Racket. You can get merchandise at HiLaProductions.com. And you can listen to this wonderful podcast if you are an audio-only listener anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, what have you. Be sure to comment down below on what your favorite scene in Predator is. Also, give us any movies that you would like us to watch in the future. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so we grow the channel. And we'll have an update on the movie next week because we will be shooting then, 2 weeks from now, after Thanksgiving. So, if there's nothing else for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I am Jamie Hiles. And remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.